All right, this is 3 kilograms. Oh, look at that, 3.333. I didn't even notice that with the spoon. So with the spoon in the bowl, this is a wonderful unpasteurized honey, which we're actually going to boil. I'm gonna get into this honey and ginger. You can see how the honey is just liquidy, just super liquid, that's it. You do not wanna heat it at all, just a light heat, super low. And then I turned it off and I just let it harmonize, and I just kept this covered, and I'm just gonna put it covered back on until I can get to it later. We have sassafras bark, sarsaparilla root, and licorice root. We're going, and with water, and we have 12 liters of water. Essential oils after, so this is gonna reduce down halfway. So we're gonna add these together, and that is a wonderful mixture. Root booch on its way. Root booch syrup in the making. All right, so here I'm washing, we have lemon balm, lemon verbena, 2 types of the thyme, as we know and love, and holy basil. That's gonna be a lemon iced tea. Herb infused honey. I'm not really wanting to heat it up, so I'm gonna turn it off, take it off the heat, submerge this beautiful herb, and then we're gonna give it a nice blitz in a little bit after it steeps, and that's gonna get infused into our kombucha. And if I need water, I'm gonna use this beautiful cannabis root water. Yeah, cannabis roots. Water, yeah. Our fermenting room, and it's been such a blessing to have the girls have their own space. So we just have a dark curtain here, and she just has a nice little heater that we keep nice space from. I've got a little extra shelf there with some supplies. We have below here a big bottling rack with sanitized bottles ready to go, and those are all of our dark amber ones. And then these are towels. We have vinegars that the kombucha makes. You age it further and it makes vinegar. And pure, beautiful homemade vinegar is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so excited to share about that. So I'm gonna get these bottles organized. My goal is to get the juice in. I'm gonna show about the juice, and then these are the girls that we're going to basically enjoy their fermented tea. These are green tea, the Sencha green tea. And then down here are scobies and hotels. And this is kombucha, the SCOBY that's pureed, which I'll discuss a little further with some scientific info. That's gonna come with along here. This is a little bit of a test project that we've been talking about. Down here is the juices. Actually, I'll show this first too. And here is the juices. So we've got rooming to warm room temperature. Here's the ginger honey paste that we're gonna mix with, well, the apple, of course. And then we're gonna do a Merlot up front, and then the Happy Planets in behind. So I set at 55 bottles here. That's what I could set. We use a bar and we have a tape. What I've got ready is the bricks machine and my pH as well. So the pH is sitting in water. It's a 6.86 pH, which is a water solution. Take it out, and I have it now calibrated. So now I have regular, just purified water in 2 glasses that sit, and then I have a distilled little dabber. So the distilled dabber is for the bricks machine. They don't compare together, but you compare them on their own. And I've got a lot of science and data and a lot of history with this, and time spent with this. So I know a lot of the personality behind it. So I know how to read, like I've read it now. I feel it, it's in my blood. So basically, I tuck this away, and we have a nice tray there, and we just keep kind of on its own as our little sanitary tray. And basically I keep the pH, and I use the other 2 glasses just as a dip solution. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed with some tea that we brewed earlier, but it's cool enough. Bring these girls down, and then we're gonna test 5 days with giving them the same amount of liquid. SCOBY does is it basically traps in and makes wall to form a protective liner barrier from anything foreign It's its defense mechanism, and so then all the harmony lives inside. I keep feeding them every 5 days. We're doing plain apple, ginger, honey, pomegranate, blueberry, apple, mango, apple, pear, or mango, apple, peach. These are two, the red and the yellow, and Goyen, Merlot, root booch, and then the black is plain, and then honey, lemon, verbena, thyme, holy basil. And then we're gonna go into all of that later after. So flavoring, non-carbonated versus carbonated. And the flavoring, the vinegars, we're gonna talk about all that. Pomegranate blueberry comes in at 3.11. Ginger honey mulch. So 1-to-1 ginger honey mulch. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay. It's probably like 200 grams. Like so far, and so you can see that grit just a little bit extra, not desirable, but that usually gets washed down. This is for the black tea, and this is the herb syrup. Oh, look how beautiful she is. This is our root beer, and so that's going to get strained as well. Now this is a SCOBY. Say hello to Miss SCOBY. Got one under here floating. The starter liquid had married through, created yeasty bits that settle. The bacteria stays towards the top. We take off the starter liquid for the next brew off the top first with the SCOBYs. So you can see here, it's just kind of jelly, shiny, liquidy. And so what they do is they seal all the way to every edge of the vessel because it keeps the protective barrier and nice and strong and safe for their product on the inside. And so they just basically peel apart like that. And so that's the older one underneath. Now you can see it's just aging color a little bit now. And then it just gets that murky, yeasty particle. Just starting to put the liquid now in, which is the first fermented tea. So technically you would brew last night, another full tea like we had, get it ready, let it sit overnight at room temperature with a cover top. Right now I would take off that cover top, squeeze out my tea bag, set it aside to be composted and recycled that way. And then I have my tea ready to go that I would add this into. I would put my towel over top and say goodnight for 2 weeks. This is just gonna set over to the side. The SCOBYs are gonna be added to it. We're gonna let the rest of ours relax, and we're gonna drink over the next 2 months. And when we come 2 weeks close to brewing, needing to brew to drink more, like now, we're at the bottom ends, well, gotta get brewing. So from here, it's very, very crucial. We use these, we like to use glass as much as possible. Try your best to use glass or stainless steel metal. So we do have these. They are awesome to have the lever over the top. So I come over and I just try to help it. And I do like to actually keep a little bit of a towel under here too. And if you go too fast, too much, you just make more of a mess, which actually slows you down in the better of it all. So really, as long as you get a good funnel movement and you can just kind of keep a steady stream. And my goal is to get it right around that neck. Now, depending on how fizzy and bubbly the juice is and the tea on itself as we are stirring things, you want it to hover around this neck part. This is almost a just touch too low. We want it to just hover right in the neck. So if you're having a bottle like this that has just a base lid from the ones in the store, they usually have just a very little amount of oxygen. Therefore, it's one of the many ways that they can manipulate, and we can manipulate not having a bunch of headroom, and that basically doesn't allow for the carbonation to become. It keeps it suppressed until it really opens. But then again, store-bought kombucha has forced carbonation, which is man-made, which is made from gosh knows, go Google that. And we have our natural effervescence of bubbles, which is the natural CO2 that is formed that you want to glug chug back into your tum-tum-tum all the time. And that's the good bacteria that we strive for. So this is it. That's what you're going for. Once we get all of these full, and again, the mess that you make, when you have a clean towel, we wipe the top. If you have, pour any on the side, clean them up right away because of the fruit flies, if you have any. This, we stay covered. We kind of just do a few as we go. And yeah, it's game on. Stir as you go because the yeast will set it, the yeast settles to the bottom. It's like the ocean, the sediment, the murky stuff at the bottom will settle. So I've got the pH meter here. We're gonna put that in and give a test. We have the Brix probe reader. It's the refractometer that tests the sugar density. So I'm gonna give another read here. This is the first ferment kombucha. It sits at 7.3 on the percent. That's how much, yeah, perfect. That's how much sugar there is in a ratio of percentage up to 100 being sugar. Sucrose sits at 100. So on the glycemic index, different sweeteners sit at different levels, and there's that. So now you can see here, this sits comfortably below 4.6. It's sitting at 3.03. And that tells you that that is safe for consumption. So under 4.6 on the pH is considered safe for consumption or health authorities. And so that's wonderful. We can drink this, bottle this, enjoy this, and we can also take this and just let it continue to ferment and age further without feeding it, and it becomes vinegar. That's it. Then you bottle vinegar and you can flavor vinegar, and that's another conversation. These are the juices that we've done first. They're even under 4.6. Then that. So we're already, once we combine them, going to be sitting comfortably anyway. So I just want to share that the Brix is not the same as a pH meter. It has a totally different scale. They are different. On the end, give her a good shake. And we'll give her a good test to see. 3.22 on the pH, which is fabulous. Every time we fill, we want to stir because we don't want the yeasty bits to settle and the bacteria on top to be inconsistent, because then you're going to get inconsistent bubbles if that's what we're striving for. Now sitting them for 5 days. So my goal is to have consistency. So that's beautiful. Basically, we just do this. This one stays in and it helps the spill. You grab like this and then we go. Too little, too much, just right. The reason is because you want to have some room, which we call head space. There's a little bit of movement for oxygen and carbonation to happen, and to basically for the sugars. What happens right now is all of the yeast are feeding on the sugar. Sugar is the fruit. Fruit is pureed into juice, hence the juice in the bottom. It now comes to life. We're having a party. It's eating the cake and everything at the party, having a fun time, and then we're going for a nap and we're going to digest, and then we're going to start to have some gas and discard what, you know, the extra. So basically that is your carbon dioxide, gas, and alcohol being released, being created, being formed, and then released. So in that carbon dioxide, gas, and alcohol, CO2 is the bubble and the alcohol is the byproduct of fermentation. Don't be afraid of it. You don't get drunk on a lot of booch. Trust me. So this is just like the world of kimchi and sauerkraut, all fermented, living and alive, and not pasteurized and not irradiated. Straight up, alive and living. And be careful, because if you don't get these in the fridge in 5 days, they will blow. They are bottled glass, and these caps are secured and awesome. These bottles are our babes. That's why we love them so much. You can see the sediment, that's the yeasty bits, the particles that go to the bottom. And the bakers, truly, they actually will gather that and then out of the bottom, the murkiness, and then that's how we make sourdough culture for a true kombucha sourdough culture bread. But what I've just started doing is just straight up plain kombucha and just using that as my liquid, and it's pretty awesome. Boom, there you go. Yeah, and then we're gonna take off 2 big liters off the top, just to keep some liquid flowing there. And then so now this becomes the tea that we now add in over to our second ferment flavoring. We can bottle it up straight up, which we also will plain without any flavoring, and it'll go in non-carbonated to the fridge, and we will use it in our cooking and our food and everything we do. Yeah, and then we carry on using these however we can, give them away as well. Our first ferment that are flavored, either right now in the fridge, non-carbonated, or put them aside for another 5 days, anywhere between 3 and 6 days, depending on your room temperature. Ideally, 28 degrees is optimal for fermentation for the kombucha. So we have 8 beautiful goyans, and I'm just in love with them. To our kombucha room. We are in here on day 5 in the evening, and it's time to send these girls to their wonderful fridge, cold temperature. We're also going to just brought to room temperature the sweet tea earlier today to feed. I'm gonna take 2/3 of this because I have more in the fridge to carry on the rest for the next feed. And we're gonna feed the face mask, and we're gonna feed this little ointment pad. So, dun, 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 dun. Check them out. 5 days. Look at that beauty. Look at her. Perfect. So then if I wiggle her, she should have the same kind of thing on top. So we're gonna open her up and take her out and take a look. I'm gonna do that in a moment, just get myself set up. So we like to, Tyler usually muscles this, and he takes 9 of these girls and a crate, and we use crates and we walk them into our fridge. So again, you have to have fridge space at this time. So here you go. This was our 95 liters of kombucha brewing at Chefs by Design. Mr. and Mrs. CBD's home. This is from our home to yours.